Welcome back to today's edition of the Automated TV. Now, before I start, I definitely want to say a few words about my team, Arsenal. So Arsenal just won the Premier League after 22 years of not winning. It's a huge, monumental shift for me because essentially I had supported them since 22 years ago when I was studying in London at the London School of Economics. And so I'm very, very proud that they finally won back in the Premier League, as champions, and they still have a lot to play for in the Champions League. They still have to play PSG on, I believe, May 30th. Now, just want to take a moment to really think about kind of supporting a football team, and you. In English football, you never change a team, right? So the very famous Eric Cantona from Manchester United said, you can change wives, you can change politics, you can even change religion, but you can't change football teams. And I think that is very true. You have to learn how to suffer with your team in order to enjoy the fruitful years. And we have certainly, as Gunners and as Arsenal supporters, have suffered for 22 years since the Invincibles to get to this point. So I'm really, really happy. I'm really ecstatic, if you can't really tell. And yeah, you have to suffer in order to enjoy the fruit. So I'm really happy we got this done finally. We've been second for 3 years. But it's really that process that's been there. It's wonderful to witness. So come on, you Gunners. And happy to do another post about the Arsenal at some other point. So let's get into it. So today's news, we're going to talk about Elon Musk's $150 billion lawsuit just went up in smoke. And then plus LinkedIn is quietly ghosting your AI content. Now, first of all, let's go into LinkedIn. LinkedIn is officially putting its foot down on the absolute madness taken over our feeds. It's a massive crackdown on AI-generated slop content. So it's basically they're saying it's the feed clogging, copy paste, deepfake stuff that has been making daily scroll feel like a fortune cookie factory in overdrive. So VP of Product Laura Lorenzetti confirmed the platform is actively reducing the reach of posts packed with recycled thought leadership. Look, they're not actually deleting these posts, but they're putting it into they're throttling the algorithm and the reach. I would say this, right? I think that's entirely true, that it does happen. I mean, I use AI a lot. In the early days, I was using AI a lot to generate my LinkedIn posts. I think you can very clearly tell certain LinkedIn posts are AI generated, and it just doesn't resonate as clearly, right? It's always this kind of question and answer in the very end. It's quite generic. It goes one way, it goes another. It's just not written very well. So I went away from it and actually started writing kind of more personal posts, or actually posting videos where I think it's actually more human-like content rather than text. I try not to do text, but when I do, I make it kind of personal and short. I may use a little bit of AI, but I really use my personal touch. And I think with, and I use a lot of videos basically. So if you are on LinkedIn, connect with me. It's vtaclo, linkedin.com, I think /Hong Kong /vtaclo, and you'll see my content. It's usually videos of me actually talking, explaining and stuff like this, because I think that comes across authentically and better in this age of AI. Now, that's what I do. We made some suggestions on the newsletter. I think vague profundity. So if it's really not actually explaining what you mean, that's a red flag. Hollow filler phrases, zero personal experience, uniform rhythm, formatting as a crutch. And I think that zero personal experience is something I've noticed a lot. So there's a lot of talk, but it really never talks about your personal experience or why this is relevant to you. That's something I try to inject in my LinkedIn post. So here's a suggestion for you, listeners, to inject some sort of personal story into LinkedIn posts. That not only defeats the algorithm, that just makes it a more interesting read, right? So LinkedIn actually throttling, I think, the reach of these posts is not necessarily a bad thing, because basically they're just not an interesting read. It's not, it's not really good anyway. It's really not good content. And it deserves to be throttled. It deserves not to have that reach because it does not have that personality. So definitely put some personality into your LinkedIn posts. Okay, so then we talk about actually the fact that we've got these videos as well. So if you like to ingest content in different ways, whether you like to read or you like to just kind of listen to it, listen to me speak, listen to me present, this is the place for you. And speaking of that, we've also made an upgrade to the programming. We're running stuff off of my studio desktop now. So we've got more overlays, we've got the time, we've got a high resolution, and hopefully you enjoyed that as well. So let us know in the comment section below whether you enjoy this format, you have certain suggestions on how we improve. We're definitely all ears and would like to know. Now, we also want to talk about the OpenAI IPO future secured after federal jury rejects Musk's claims. So the absolute circus in Silicon Valley has picked up tense after 3 long weeks of blockbuster courtroom testimony. A federal jury in Oakland needed less than 2 hours to completely shut down Elon Musk's massive lawsuit against Sam Altman and OpenAI. 2 hours. So what actually went down is basically... So what happened was Elon Musk has filed a lawsuit about Sam Altman, and the crux of the case was really basically saying OpenAI was supposed to be a charity, and Sam Altman and his gang decided to go there and make it a for-profit. And actually what the jury found was actually Elon Musk was not correct, right? He was correct, but he just waited too long to be able to do that. So I think the statute of limitations is in California, 3-year window to bring these kind of claims. And OpenAI's legal team argued that Elon knew about this for-profit transition about as early as 2017, and it's basically legal clock ran down. So they didn't disagree with Elon, but the fact is it's the window and it was 3 years. So much about nothing. Ultimately, I didn't see this case going this way. I think I talked about this in the Automated TV yesterday or the day before. I think, look, this was a power play anyway. I think Elon he wanted to maybe slow things down for Anthropic. I don't know. I think it was more of a political play than actually trying to claw back anything. It does put things at risk, and you never know when OpenAI may have these risks again. But it was a power play, really, by Elon Musk. So I don't think Elon looks incredibly good with this. He should have known about the statute of limitations. His lawyers should have told him about that as well. So clearly he went into it with his eyes wide open. He is smart. He's not a dummy. So he went into it with his eyes wide open. And so clearly it was political play or power play or whatever, but because legally, I'm sure his lawyers knew that it was a 3-year window and he didn't really have much of a case. So either it's because of discovery, of letting things out in the open to make Sam look bad, whether it's a political play or a power play, everybody just doesn't look good. Elon doesn't look good either. And I think ultimately it's just a bunch of drama for nothing. But again, Elon has the money. So let's see. Yeah, we had these kind of reactions. OpenAI called it a hypocritical attempt to sabotage a competitor. Microsoft was fine. Obviously, they wanted to continue. Elon counter technicality. Again, he should have known that. I think his lawyers should have known that as well. So the path is completely wide open for OpenAI's highly anticipated jaw-dropping $1 trillion IPO. So let's see if that really does happen. Okay, so other kind of AI block news, how to watch Google I.O. I'm going to skip that. Pope and co-founder Anthropic to launch Pontiff's AI encyclical on May 25th. So I was okay with the Pope actually dealing with AI in the committee. I thought it was about God, whether it's a big G or little g. But he's actually doing it with the co-founder Anthropic. And I found that kind of suspicious, right? So anytime a tech company hijacks something, hijacks, maybe in the beginning it's fine. But I think the moment that it starts becoming something like this and it starts becoming weird, I'm not a big fan. So I don't like the fact that it's the co-founder of Anthropic. I don't think this is a good way to do things. And I'll be monitoring, the news and see what's really going on. But I think anytime it's with something like Anthropic or OpenAI with a private company, I don't think that's a good thing. Melbourne psychiatrist refuses new patients who don't consent to AI note-taking. Look, I think this is something that needs to happen. I know there are pen and paper. I know there are privacy concerns. You don't want OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Anthropic to actually know your or Plod even, right, the note-taking app, to know all your details. But I think that's the way of the world. Psychiatrists, doctors, nurses, they're all time crunch. So they definitely need more tools, and they use AI. You use AI. I think it's entirely unfair for a patient to say, no, I don't want to use AI. I think there'll be bifurcation, right? There are certain people, psychiatrists, that will charge more for no AI note-taking. And I think there will be some that will maybe charge a little bit less. Look, psychiatrists are all very, very expensive. But still, fundamentally, I think that's here to stay. You'll perhaps see different psychiatrists that offer different services, but ultimately, I think it's here to stay. Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt booed by graduates at mention of AI. There was another professor actually that did another address as well that was also booed by AI. And I saw that in my social media. I didn't see the message of Eric Schmidt. I saw the message of the older lady. And I think she started off with something innocuous and then AI, and then everyone booed. I think it was rather innocuous, and I would assume it's the same thing. And I think the reaction is well noted. I think whether you're advocating people to learn AI, whether you're saying AI is here to stay and you should do something, I think the younger generation know that. So I do think it's kind of no need to really kind of hit the hammer on the head. And perhaps a little more sensitivity, perhaps a little more humanity. Perhaps that's really what the students are reacting to against. They knew AI is going to be there. Talk about something a little more humane, right? That may be the reaction. I don't know. I need to look into that a little bit more. That's a really good point. Let's move on to Amazon's new Alexa Power feature can generate podcast episodes entirely just like this, right? I can turn on Alexa and it can start talking and generate podcasts. I think podcasts are here to stay, very similar to what I'm doing over here as well. So I definitely think that's here to stay, and that's something that will happen in the future. Standard Chartered to cut thousands of roles as AI use increases. Again, we talked about this before, right? Is it real? Is it fiction? Is it fact? Are they cutting jobs? I think we were talking about this because of Oracle or Cisco. Are they cutting jobs because of AI, or are they cutting jobs because they were going to cut jobs anyway? Look, again, I think it might be a mix. It might be a blend. What we know right now is Standard Chartered is cutting jobs. So it is what it is. And so what you need to do as reader, subscriber, is to focus on this and focus on upskilling AI. You can't control what they do. You can't control what your employers do and your corporates do. So you have to finish and do what you do best, and make sure you upskill. That's the only thing you can do. Tech firms face tougher UK rules on intimate image abuse. I'm going to look into that as well. I think ultimately, it's a good thing. Intimate images, private images do need to be controlled, need to be monitored, because I do think it is could be up for abuse. There are privacy concerns, right? And so on both parties. And so I think that definitely needs to be addressed and talked about and discussed. Whether the government is the best person to do that, look, at the end of the day, the government is the enforcer, is it not? So it has to be there. Whether you like big government or small government, I think it has to be there. We have our trending tools, AI contract review software for construction contract risk management. This is an interesting tool. Contract management using AI, contract review software for construction. Pretty niche. And I'm sure there are certain terms, there are certain conditions, there are certain ideas that are only in construction that I think a construction AI tool might be able to do. So this is pretty interesting. We've got a couple more tools as well under that. And lastly, we've got the AI work of the day, how to make AI your personal contract risk detector. Looks like we're all talking about like construction and contracts. So definitely have a prompt here to take a look at your contract. In fact, I was looking at a content creation contract last night using AI, and I was actually recommending my wife on how to actually use it and how to best use it and talk about it. Let's see. I think the most important here, how we used it was basically we said, I prompted it by saying, what are some of the red flags concerning this contract? I think that's really important, and it kind of gives you the red flags so you can kind of review that. if you're not confident after that review, whether you really know the content or not, I think that's when you cross-check also with a lawyer. Do these red flags make sense? Can we push back on these red flags? What do we write and how do we script? I think these red flags. So I think that's kind of where the lawyer comes in. But that's really how I would use, or that's how I use contract review with AI. I use it as a first pass. I use it to elevate red flags so I could process it myself, to think about. And then that's when I discuss it with my wife. That's when I discuss it with the lawyer to basically see what can be improved. Okay, hopefully you enjoy this podcast and this episode of the Automated TV. Come on, you Gunners. Do support the Arsenal. I'm super happy, super proud, and hope you have a good rest of the day.